I'm super excited to talk to you guys about my reset journey today. I have been at my reset for about a month now. If you've been following me on this journey, you kind of have seen some ups and some downs. Today I want to talk to you guys about some of the downs I've experienced and how I am bouncing back from those situations, because the reset journey is something that you have to experience all the way in and know that you will experience hurdles. There is nothing more joyful than being able to say, I came through this experience. I am a better person for it. I'm a stronger person for it. So today I'm going to share with you guys some of the things I've experienced on my reset journey, and I may continuing experiencing, because hey, that's life. Things will get in our way. That takes you to our first experience, and that is just anything getting in the way in life, right? So if, for example, one thing that's helped me on my reset journey is being outside more and connecting with nature. There are times when the weather in Florida is too humid, too rainy, just mosquitoes like crazy by the time I'm actually able to get outside. So I realized that I kind of have to be a bit more flexible. So that's kind of realizing that everything in your day is not necessarily fixed in place, but there are some things that you can control. I cannot control the weather, and it is kind of in that season right now that by the time I get home from work, I have a little bit of time outside with my dogs before the rain starts, and then the mosquitoes typically follow. So what I've decided to do is make sure I'm outside when I'm able to be outside. So whether that's just like, hey, taking a little bit of moment out of my day at work and making sure I'm going to check my mailbox, or I'm walking around the campus, kind of connecting with people in those ways and getting that outside time. But it's also changing the expectation. So realizing that being outside every single day, the second I get home from work, in the season that I'm literally in right now, is probably going to set me up for some failure, because I'm not going to want to experience that weather. So I've had to adjust my needs. So I need to connect with something physically every single day in order to feel that bond and that connection. So I've actually been more flexible in my expectations for myself by saying, okay, what are some ways to be engaged in something physical? So that could be going to the gym first thing in the morning. I can control that. I know when they open. I know when I can arrive. I know how much of a window I have in order to get to the gym, get in, get my stuff done, and get home and shower and ready for work. I also know that, hey, there's sometimes when I need to be in to work a little early, and that may mean that I'm doing like a quick Zumba video at home. It's like 30 minutes, and I don't have to worry about going to the gym, because that time kind of is a little tight for me, because the gym doesn't open at 4 a.m. when I would prefer it to. It opens at 5. So I can do Zumba in my house at 4 o'clock in the morning, but going to the gym, that is something, again, that is fixed. Not on my decision, but it is something that is controlled. I cannot control certain things, but the things I can control, I do. And the things that are just by nature kind of controlled, whether it's knowing what the weather system is going to be like, it's not really 100% controlled, but I can know what to expect. I know when the gym opens, so those are things that I can kind of plan for. And for the unplanned things, you just kind of have to know to make some adjustments, which leads me to my second thing to talk about. And it's, interestingly enough, it's a 2-day rule. Nothing in life will go as planned each and every time. That would be setting us up for a new type of struggle, right? We would constantly give up. And that's something that I've experienced, is seeking perfection and not actually getting to the goal because I wasn't perfect. So I gave up because I didn't show up the way I wanted to, or the way I feel like I had to. I stopped showing up. So the 2-day rule is something I learned from Matt D'Avella, famous YouTuber. Talks about the idea that, like, hey, you maybe like aren't on top of everything on day 1 and you miss something, but day 2, get back into the activity. So if it's being active, okay, you might not go to the gym for an hour, but maybe you go for like a 10-minute walk. You know, make it manageable, make those adjustments, and show up. You don't have to show up perfect, but showing up at all is what helps get us to the goal. If we just show up a little bit each day, that adds up to much more than showing up really hard one day and then giving up the rest, which ties us into our number 3. Our number 3 is do something. Instead of just saying, hey, I'm gonna start this eventually, it feels fantastic to talk about it. You know, you get like a little excitement and people are cheering you on, but rather than talk about it, just be about it. You know, sometimes it helps to share with someone for accountability, but honestly, for me, I don't find accountability partners to be the most helpful, because in my experience, we tend to just kind of accept each other's shortcoming, and instead of actually uplifting each other or what we're doing, it's just kind of saying, okay, well, I understand your excuse, and it can seem compassionate, but for me personally, I need someone to be like, hey, Jasmine, I see that you haven't shown up for a couple of days. What's going on? How can we get back in it? Versus just kind of accepting my excuses, because I can make up some pretty good excuses. So yeah, for me, accountability partners aren't the thing, but for you, it may work. But instead of just talking about it, you have to put the action out there. So yeah, when I started making these YouTube videos, it became very clear that you can do all of the background work, but it's evident if you're not actually putting a YouTube video out there, you cannot consider yourself a YouTuber if the title isn't even important to you. But like a writer is someone who writes. You don't have to be a published writer, but you can write. And it's actually kind of easy to be a self-published writer, because you can self-publish much easier with all the different digital platforms out there. So yeah, just you have to put the step there. It's super easy to show up, but it's super hard because you're worried about that judgment. So that brings us to our next one. I think we're on number 4. Yeah, number 4, right? So my next area is stop being so critical and just take it for what it is, right? Put your shitty first draft out there. My first YouTube video is kind of like weird, and I'm sure like when I watch this video later, it's gonna make me kind of cringe a little bit, but I had to put the shady first draft out there in order to get to where I am now. Everything's not perfect, but I know my lighting's better, have better audio quality, but if I didn't put the first draft out there, I would have just been kind of hung up in the practice phase, or I could have easily been stuck in the preparation phase. Also kind of this anxiety around thinking where you kind of get caught up in your own head, and they call it like analysis paralysis, because you're just stuck in thinking about everything. And if you're someone who's like into the intellectual space and you kind of nerd out like me, you're probably doing some of those things. So I just said, you know what, stop thinking, stop getting in my own head and do the action. So I created my first YouTube video, and you just show up. And in addition to showing up, I mean, you got to put it out there, and it kind of releases that anxiety a bit, because it's not as stressful as you thought it was to put it out there. And you do get some feedback. I happen to be a part of a cohort, and we give each other feedback. You may also get feedback just by how many people are watching the video, maybe commenting or liking or what have you. There's a lot of different ways to look at it, but by putting yourself out there in the first place, even if no one's watching, you're putting in the reps, you're putting in that practice, you're actually doing the thing, and instead of, like we talked about before, just talking about the thing, and that doesn't kind of get you where you're looking for. And my final area that I want to talk about today, and that is number 5, that is celebrating the small wins. It's not about, for example, whether it's YouTube or whether you're learning a new skill. It's just the idea of you did something and it was successful because you showed up for yourself. It's not a matter of looking at the metrics from the outside. Like, I can't control how many people like my video. I can kind of control the processes that I'm learning. I can control how people are engaging with it if I'm asking certain questions, or, you know, just by the ability to create the video a bit better the next time, by looking at my old videos, by researching. There are some things that I can control. So I celebrate my small wins, and that's like publishing a video, that could be getting on the bike, that could be going to the gym. I don't have the control over whether someone likes a picture or anything, but I do have control on putting something out in the world that I want to see. So the small wins are so important. And for some people that could be, if you're a list person like me, that's making a to-do list. And honestly, at work, I kind of cheat a little bit and I put things on there like take a personal lunch, because I need to make sure that I'm eating something, but it's also something that's easy for me to cross off because I took care of myself and it was something that I kind of do anyway. And sometimes it's like, hey, I did something and I wasn't going to account for it. I'm like, oh, that's actually kind of a big deal that I had the opportunity to work with this person for like 20 minutes today that wasn't planned. Let me put that on my to-do list and then cross it off, because that's something I can look back on and that's something I can be proud of. So yeah, celebrate those small things. And for me, it can be difficult to accept a compliment, and that's because I kind of get in this space of being a little shy. But yeah, so showing up and allowing other people to compliment your work and to celebrate those small wins that they're sharing with you, that's huge. Don't overlook it. You're doing something great, and I'm sure that you're resetting and you're working toward being a better person each and every day. And if you're into that kind of mindset, join me, because that is all this channel is about resetting and making the world just a little bit better.